Hello and welcome to the Delphian Podcast.
Delphian is an artist-led nomadic gallery focusing on emerging and early career artists.
Each episode will feature a different art world practitioner, from artists and gallerists to collectors and curators.
If you like today's episode, please like, share and subscribe. So hello and welcome to the next edition of the Delphian Gallery Podcast with me, Benjamin Murphy.
And me, Nick J.S. Thompson.
And our guest this week is the painter and podcaster, Rowan Newton.
Yeah, trying new things.
How's it going?
Good. As mentioned, I've been to the doctors today and been given the go-ahead to live another year.
Yeah,
so I'm
all
happy.
right, that's
a
good.
little quick health check.
Was he on the fence?
No, he seemed positive.
That's good.
Feeling confident. My new healthier lifestyle of no drink and substances. I feel quite smug when I go into the doctors.
Healthy eating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good breakfast.
Yeah, Rowan made me a very nice, very healthy breakfast the other day.
Yeah, exactly. So,
It was delightful. So let's dive in. So, I've been asking you for years now, when's your solo show going to be?
yeah.
So now it's incoming.
Yeah, it's
incoming.
a lifetime's work.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a debut solo album. You know that rapper who just never managed to get a record contract and is finally releasing his debut album after like 37 years.
Yeah. So, give us a little rundown. Where is it? What's happening? What's the theme or the?
Okay, so it's going to be at Jealous Gallery, who I've been doing screen prints with for... I was debating this the other day. It might be coming up to 10 years.
Wow.
It might be 8 years. Yeah. It's mad how time flies. So it's with those guys. I'm very close with the gallery manager, Louise. And obviously get on with Dario and the rest of the gang. And Will, who does my screen prints, I used to live with at one point as well. So yeah, they're people I actually hang out with, and they're like family, and so it feels good to be putting on the show with them. It is all figurative, no portraits, which is what I'm known for, doing portraits, so I wanted to kind of really steer away from that and, do something not completely different. It's in my style, it's all the colours that you expect and everything, but just evolve it, perhaps is the way to say it, more forward. And actually, most of them don't even have a face in them. They're kind of cropped so you don't see a face. Maybe there's one, there's a bit... You can see all the sorts of sides of faces or bits of faces, but really kind of wanted to, cut out the whole portrait thing. And overall, the theme... it's about as all my work is it's about emotion. It's about capturing a kind of feeling and sense of emotion within you, and that's kind of done through the colours, through the technique of painting it, and through the pose of, previously would be the portraits and now it's the figures. So even though this show is all women, it's nude female figure, even for men there should be, each painting kind of gives a different emotional atmospheric vibe, and one that hopefully everyone who sees the paintings can relate to, at least one, if not all of them. I think there'll be about 5 or 6 big paintings, and it's going to be about 18 little mini studies. But yeah, I just hope that you kind of get the sense of I know that feeling, I know that situation, I know I've been there.
Why is
some
it
of them are
taking
positive,
you?
some of them are negative.
Why is it taking you so long to do this show? I've been asking you about it for years now, haven't I?
Yeah, you have. Part of me, in myself, it's a funny... I guess all artists kind of feel ill, especially practicing artists who keep going, they kind of perhaps never feel they are doing the best of their ability work-wise. So that's why they do another one and another one, and just keep going and keep progressing. And perhaps before, I didn't feel it was quite there, and then I decided I wanted to totally move away from the portraits, so it was almost like starting again for me. And also with the portraits, I was painting in acrylics, and then when I sort of made this decision that I wanted to progress onto whole figures, I also decided to jump over to oil painting. So it was a whole new learning process, which was taking a while. And, you know, it was figuring out how I kind of knew how I wanted to do the portraits, but I wasn't sure how I wanted to do the figures. And it was, you know, a real learning process again from the beginning. And I kind of originally I sort of thought, I want to give myself a year to kind of get to grips to this. But it has taken longer. And then other things popped up. Me and my partner, we bought a flat and things like that. But it also has taken, you know, I'm still, these 6 paintings have been started 3 years ago, most of them, or at least 2 years ago. And I'm still, you know, I worked on them this week. Like, it's taken me this long to get to a point where I'm like, yeah, I'm happy with this body of work. I kind of was at that point, say, like last July, I kind of knew, like, okay, because no one's going to book you in for next Tuesday you can have a show, so you know you've got time. So I knew I was like coming to the point with all the paintings where I was like, right, I'm at the finishing line here, coming up to it, and so there's that whole kind of worry of people worry like, oh, do you not feel you're just procrastinating, or you could always make a little tiny difference there and change that there. And I honestly don't feel it's been that. Like, it just has taken this long for me to be like, yeah, I feel really confident and really proud with this body of work, and I'm ready to put it out there. And now, you know, hopefully the next show will be a year later rather than 37 years. But yeah, because I feel like I'm in the flow. I feel like I've got it down how I want to present the work and how I want to paint and stuff. But yeah, it's just taken on life just gets in the way. You know, it'd be lovely if I could be in the studio 5 days a week, but it just isn't possible living in London, you know.
So how do you survive then as an artist if you're not regularly exhibiting your work?
Well, up until 3 years ago, I was regularly, in regular sort of group shows in London and abroad, some in Germany. And also at that time, through my 20s, I was also doing a bit of commercial illustration, and I worked in retail, which helped me get me through. And I was really lucky with rent. Like, I was at the same flat for like 13 years at one point, and I was paying £300 and then £150, and then, you know, when I left it was just £100 a month. So wow. Yeah, I was lucky in that sense, for such a great location as well, like right in the centre of Greenwich pretty much.
It was a nice place too. It's the place I've been to.
Yeah.
Nice ceilings.
Yeah,
Wow.
Full of character, really nice flat. Had some wild parties there. It was good, lots of memories in that flat. And then later on, I kind of stopped doing retail, and then I've kind of done bits and pieces, labouring here and there, and a bit of carpentry and a bit of landscape gardening, and that's kind of got me through the last 3 years. I was lucky also with portraits. You do have the sort of advantage that people like to have their portraits painted, so you do get approached a lot by commissions. And through my 20s, I kind of didn't really want to do it, and I just wanted to do what I did, and that seemed to be doing okay, so I kind of shunned a lot of it. And then when I knew I wanted this step back from exhibiting art, I kind of then sort of put the feelers back out there and contacted all these people, and it was like, right, I am taking commissions at the moment, if you say that. And luckily for me, a lot in fact came through, and so I've been able to do that quietly on the side as well. And that's taken up time as well, actually, when I think about it. You know, I haven't just been able to paint the show, I've had to do portraits on the side. And even in regards to the show, there were, at one point, there was about 9 paintings for it. We've trimmed down 3, like I want it to be, and that was always the plan, to do, you know, a batch of work, but really cut it down to the best, all thriller and no filler sort of thing.
So you're kind of almost like the most elusive artist ever, because you just keep saying no to shows, and you have been doing it for years now. You said no to one of our shows we asked you to do a couple of years ago. Again, that's been in the last 3 years. I just do one show a year, and it's like a tiny little post.
All I've done is a charity thing, which I quite enjoyed. And I've like what appealed about that as well is I like the test of being. I think a painter should be able to paint tiny. You should be able to paint large. You should be able to paint super large. I haven't painted super large in fairness, but it's a good practice. So what I liked about it on the postcard is it was good for me to figure out how I could do it at that scale. Because I kind of went straight in at the whole, kind of standard meter size canvas because it looks impressive. It looks kind of, it demands attention. And then as I've gotten older, I've kind of like, actually, I quite like smaller pieces, smaller bits of art, and how could I do that? And in regards to I've turned down a lot of group shows, and it was just to give myself that breathing space. I think in London, unfortunately, because of high rents and not only living but studio rents. Because I got so lucky with where I was living in Greenwich, my studio rent was pretty much the same price as my house rent. Things like that.
Yeah.
Force artists to constantly be on this carousel of exhibiting to just stay afloat, because you still got to buy materials, you still got to buy food, drink, you got to have a life, you got to, hopefully have a holiday once a year and all this sort of thing. We're sort of forced to be on this carousel of constantly exhibiting, and I kind of thought, I want to get off that and actually spend a year doing work and then look back on it and see what is actually worth exhibiting of that work, rather than forced to put every piece out.
Did you find that taking that step back from exhibiting, did that make your work more desirable because of scarcity, or do you feel like you've kind of disappeared from people's consciousness a little bit?
I've had flows of feeling both ways. I think for the first year I was kind of confident that I hadn't been gone that long and things like that, and it wasn't really on my mind too much because at the time I thought, well, a year, it flies by, it's not too length of time. Then the second year, I think that, and I realised I was kind of nowhere near quite where I wanted to be, and maybe the emails do slow up a bit. But then it was like art on the postcard that November, and this tiny kind of piece of art went for almost £500. And then getting feedback from that, it was like it'd done so well because there were no other opportunities. Yeah. So then I was like, all right, cool. But then, a whole second year went, and I was like, But again, the postcard did even better that year. And so that was a good sign. And then every now and again, there has been an email of someone going, where the fuck do I buy your work? Why is it so difficult? And it's like, oh, okay. That's cool. There's one or two out there noticing. So that's cool. And then in time, when you just think about it, you kind of think, to a certain extent, none of it matters. What matters the most is that you do your art to the best of your capabilities, and if you can show it in an exhibition, then great. Whether obviously it's great if everything sells and it helps pay those bills, but if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. Like when you're 12 years old and incessantly drawing all the time, you just think, this is the best thing in the world. Like I'm just drawing. When I did my foundation year and degree, I was just drawing all the time. I wasn't thinking, is it going to pay the bills? Is this drawing going to sell? I was just happy to be doing that all the time. So I think also you have to remind yourself to take a step back and just think, you're getting to paint and, you're getting to show it to a room full of people. Your mates, collectors, some people you've never met before, hopefully. Almost that should be enough. There's no point. It's not going to aid anything stressing, thinking, have people forgotten about me? Which I have, as I said, I did have that. I was like, 3 years, people may have completely forgot. And then there's no point getting too much of an ego about the fact that maybe it is a bit in demand. It kind of doesn't matter as long as you're happy with what you're putting out. And you really kind of, that's why I'm so looking forward to this show. Like I really 100% can back this and be like, I'm really proud of this body of work. I really took my time. These paintings have had 3 years worth of work on them. Like Everyone who gets to see them, I feel won't be shortchanged by that. Like, I put my heart, love, time into this. I did the other side.
So what do you think about the current artist gallery system? Do you think that it works well?
Oh, this is where we burn all our industry bridges.
Maybe let's just not name names.
Okay, yeah.
Let's be as brutal as we like.
I don't know where it is at the moment. I don't know. It's in a funk, I think, in this country. I don't know how many ones I would consider good. I don't know how many of those, even in that get put in the good category, are still actually consistent throughout their roster. And how much... Yeah, I don't know how much... I mean, that's why Jealous are good. Artists get an opportunity with Jealous. Do you know what I mean? It's like they've got, right at the top you've got your Bakers and Chris Levines and things like that, but then they still, at grassroots, artists get an opportunity at places like Jealous. So it's good to have, galleries like that. I don't think there's too much of that, really, where you could almost go in with like your first sort of set of ideas, like, look, this is what I'm putting on the table and I think this could go with it, and Jealous would consider it. They'd have that sit down with you. They might not take it, but they would at least have that sit down with you, where as most galleries in London, it's just a killer to even get your foot in through the door. And then even more so at the moment, because the galleries want the Instagram hype. They want you to, which I understand, it's kind of fair enough. They want you to already bring in an audience to the table. But then I also think if you're going down that route, then the artist, say you are bringing a massive amount, there's some artists out there with easily 100,000 plus on Instagram, then they should be able to renegotiate the percentages. Because if I'm bringing say the gallery's at 8,000 and the artist is bringing 80,000 Instagrammers, views, exposure, then there's got to be, and you're asking me to promote this show and promote the gallery on my Instagram account, not me particularly because I haven't got a high one, but to those artists who do, and they're expected to expose the gallery and promote it just as much as the gallery, which originally was what they were supposed to be doing. So I think there's negotiation there to re-establish percentages. Kind of gone off a bit. But galleries in London, I don't know. And when I sort of sometimes think there aren't too many good ones, I then get shown good ones by friends of mine, such as Nick and Eric, who I do the podcast with. They'll show me, but it's just a different style of art to what I'm used to seeing or going to see or producing myself. So you sort of realise, there are good galleries, but they're still, some of those galleries around the back of Fitzrovia or Mayfair, I don't know how they all survive. They're not on it with the whole Instagram thing, and I guess they've just got a steady collection of collectors. There are good galleries out there. There's a lot. I don't know. Is there? I don't know. What do you guys reckon? There's definitely a funk. There's definitely still too much stuck in early noughties Banksy street art boom.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think we'd all agree there's too many stencils.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's too many Mickey Mouses.
Mm-hmm. Mickey Mouse with a machine gun.
Yeah. Pop art rehashings.
Yeah. But and I do think that at times, and then I also think, well, maybe it doesn't matter. Like a bit like what I was saying about the paintings, whether they sell or not. It's like maybe. There must be a market for it.
Yeah.
No one's doing Mickey Mouse and stencils if no one's buying it.
It's just very accessible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just accessible, and people just recognize. Yeah, exactly. It's accessible. They recognize Mickey straight away. They know what it is. It feels comfortable. There's nostalgia. And that's that, and that's there, and we don't really have to fuck with it.
Yeah,
okay, and that's again also why I did step back, because I think I was in shows where I wasn't really feeling all the artwork in the shows. So it's like, well, I could moan and be like, oh, well, you know, stay in this or whatever. Or I could step outside of it and go, no, that's cool. Let them, that gallery and those artists do what they want to do. I don't need to be a part of that. You know, I can do my own thing. And yeah, that's what I realised I wanted to do, was my own bodies of work rather than throwing in a piece here or there, and not get too bothered about if that is the direction that a lot of galleries seem to be going in. Yeah, I don't know, it's a hard one. It would be, but it'd be nice to have a few more impressive. Oh, did he say that? And then, you know, right at the upper echelons, we are lucky in London that we have a Blaine Southern and a Pace and a Gagosian. Yeah, 3 Gagosians. You know, I mean, we're spoiled, really. You can moan about galleries, and then you think about it, you know.
Is it maybe
2 white
the
cubes.
mid-level galleries that are...
Yeah, mid-level. It's hard, isn't it? You got, again, it's all about paying bills. You know, if you want a gallery, imagine how great it would be to be able to open a gallery in Soho. Those bills, you know, you're competing with, you know, all those big brands, Starbucks and Reese and whatever else, barbershops, and as in the jackets and
Tesco Metro.
Tesco Metro, yeah, you know. So you got to bring in the money. Well, what brings in the money? Well, Mickey Mouse brings in the money, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, it just, unfortunately, London doesn't allow for galleries to take big risks in that sense because of the bills, or to just be like, you know, like I remember going to Elms Leicester like 10 years ago when Adam Neat was first booming, and talking to the couple who run Elms Leicester, and they'd been doing street art throughout the sort of 90s, late 90s, early 90s for 11 years before they actually started selling anything. So they'd been doing shows with Futura, Anthony Lister really early. I can't think of who else. They had like 4, maybe even Jose Parla might have been one of them. They had about 4 great artists from around the world, but just nothing sold. But they were just brave enough, bold enough, and maybe stupid enough to a certain extent to just keep going. I think that's the same with us artists. You know, we're nuts. We're going into a room and painting and drawing all day long, thinking anyone's going to give a fuck. But you kind of, if you persist long enough, people do, for some reason, start giving a fuck. And you know,
you got to be a special kind of narcissist to do this job.
Yeah,
Just sit on your own in a room for a bit, do some drawing, and then show it to the world and go, "This is fucking good, guys."
Get involved. Yeah. Where's your wallet, for God's sake? Oh, totally. I like when people ask, I don't even say artist, I'm a painter, and most people just assume a painter and decorator, and I'm kind of fine with that because it's like, you know, it's almost like how, you're what, like, you just go, oh, I sit in a room and paint. And
I think the natural instinct is to
buy it.
distrust when someone's for the like non-art world public. When you say I'm an artist, they're like, "Oh right, what do you really do?"
Yeah, exactly. Oh, of course, we all are, mate. Don't worry about that. I'll fucking write a couple of words of poetry down each night. Oh, I'm fucking artist. Yeah, you do feel a bit of a trickster. So I think it's in a funk, but maybe that's not the gallery's fault. You know, maybe if rents were a bit cheaper, galleries could go, right, here's who I consider 4 cracking artists with low profiles, and, you know, and they might not even think they're at their top of their game, but they can just see a little something. Like, let me get in here now, because if I help these artists put a bit of money in their pocket, I could see the work developing into something great.
Spend a few years nurturing
their
their work.
Yeah, exactly. And then maybe 5-6 years down the line, you know, it's all guns blazing. But what the fuck is...
Yeah, I think like...
You know, things like Hang Up seem to be doing well. And they kind of did it, you know, they did... They kept the bankroll in by doing all the Banksy secondary market. And, you know, you get a lot of emails from them, and you can kind of think, oh, you know, more Banksy. But actually, fair enough, you know, they did put aside a little group of artists. My mind's going a bit blank at the moment. Who's the biro guy on the letters?
Mark Powell.
Huh?
Mark Powell?
Yes, Mark Powell, yeah. a couple of others. So they have really stood by some artists and nurtured them from the beginning, and to keep the lights on, they've done a sort of Banksy secondary market print, and now they've gone into sort of Invaders and everything. That was quite clever. That was, and they've developed. The gallery's gotten bigger. It's kind of gotten a bit closer into central London each time they've moved, and
yeah, I
they've
suppose
put on good shows.
the only problem with that is you've got to be very careful about how all the stuff you're selling secondary market impacts on the artists you're showing in the first place, like how that
as in might overshadows,
and also how it links in with the artists you're showing as well, like whether that's goes against the ethos of the gallery.
Mm.
Or the sort of the look of and style of the other artists.
I think back in the day, in art history, the artists were essentially tradesmen who relied on the patronage of a wealthy baron or whatever, or the church. And it seems like galleries used to kind of fill that role and pick up these young artists, recognise a little bit of talent, and then nurture them throughout their careers. But nowadays, it seems like, or for, I suppose, the art world on the whole, is that you need to have kind of some level of success before you get picked up by a gallery. And
then also, if you don't have that success with that particular gallery, you just don't, you no longer hear from them. I've had 2 instances, 3 years ago, and this was again another reason. It's just like, I'm kind of jarred with all this. I need a break. But so about 4 or 5 years ago, people approaching me, hi, we want to show your work. We're doing it like this, doing like that. Another one was a gallery abroad, we're doing it like that. And then in the end, and I was a bit like, yeah, but are you going to... Because I knew I was at a point where I was like, I don't want just to be in one of your group shows and then that's it, if it doesn't work out the first time. I'm looking for support, say, nurturing, that we keep at it. If you work with me and I work with you, I honestly believe we can do this. It can go somewhere. Yeah. Both instances... tried it once, or one of them they tried it twice in 2 different art fairs. Another one was an actual gallery abroad. It didn't pan out sales-wise, and then just stopped hearing from them. One of them, because I was kind of against it. I was kind of I'm not sure I just want to, jealous do the art fairs. I kind of got the person who wants to do just the art fairs. I was like, I'm not sure about that kind of route. And, they wined and dined me and kept taking it really on my case, about joining the team and all of this, and really went for it. It wasn't just a little quick chat over a phone or anything. And then you just stopped hearing from her when it didn't work out. And it's grow a backbone. We're all adults. What do you think I'm going to do? I could see. I know these art fairs cost a lot of money. Understand. But communicate, for fuck's sake. I don't know.
So that's a nice segue there, because when we saw each other the other day for breakfast, we then bumped into each other at at an art fair.
Keep it vague.
And then we both had, and this is
an art fair in January?
Well, I mean, nobody knew it was January until you just said that.
No, I did it on purpose.
Yeah, we both had a little bit of a whinge about it.
Yeah, it was a brief whinge. I think, I was moaning it yesterday as well about it to someone. And again, I kind of came to the same conclusion. I think it's the same problem. It's these art fairs charge I know because I talked to Dario about the business side of art a lot, and Louise. So I know how much these stands cost. And it's an outrageous amount. And then the ticket price is an outrageous amount. Now, we're lucky we're in a position where we can get in for free.
I wouldn't be going if I wasn't getting it for free. That's for sure.
I would go, but when I went on Saturday, I went with a crew of about 7 of us. It's a good opportunity to meet up with some mates, hang out, see some art. It's good fun. It's culture. It's nice. But if I wasn't able to get a bunch of free tickets, I wouldn't suggest that, because I wouldn't want to make my friends feel they've all got to spend, I think that might have been about £16 something.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe maybe on the 14. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit crazy, but I mean, anything over 12 is like, you can't ask 6 of your mates to spend, pretty almost an hour's wages on like going to look at some art.
I mean, it's pretty clear now we're talking about London Art Fair, aren't we?
Put it out there.
I mean, it should be said
cut
that
January.
there is a few galleries that doing some interesting shit there, like Union and Carb and Jealous.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's just every year it's the same. It's just like the same prints from the same big names.
I say when you first go into that fair, that first ground level is
on the
good.
Right.
Oh, but I like the traditional stuff on the left.
Right.
And I think on the right it seems to be different galleries every year pretty much. And it's always been strong. Just that first entrance is a strong beginning. And then it kind of peters out. And then you have the projects area, which is always quite interesting, up on the upper level off to the side. The thing is, I still like the art fair. I like the range. You've got everything. You've got some cool stuff that I like, that's kind of in our scene, like, I can't remember his name, New York artist Jerome Jaguar or something. He shows with a French gallery. You see some charming bakers. There are stuff in our sort of contemporary scene that I like. Then there's old traditional stuff. Then there's the more sort of, I don't know, sort of run-of-the-mill sort of stuff you might see in Barnes or Richmond galleries.
Then there's the IKEA shit.
Yeah, there's the IKEA shit. I actually quite like it for that. There's a range. There's a bit of everything there, and I see a wide scope, and it reminds me how much I hate. But and
there's what you hate is often more.
Oh yeah.
You get more from that than.
Yeah, you could probably count on one hand how many pieces you end up liking once you leave. Maybe 2 hands. And there are a lot of Damien Hirst spot prints, and there are a lot of Banksy's. And again, it's because they've got to pay the bill for that stand.
Yeah.
But what particularly I noticed this year is the bunch I went with this year also came with me last year. And they were all convinced that the same art was being shown on the same stand.
I have seen that, yeah.
Well, I don't think it was that. I was saying to them, it's not, but the stands have gone from a very formulaic, showing the same 4 artists, which, it's like, pros and cons. Like, I like the fact they're sticking with those 4 artists.
Yeah.
And them just, like, shove them out the door and got in a whole brand new 4. But, yeah, they were showing, like, the same artists in exactly the same place on the stand with exactly the same sort of theme of art work, pretty much. So when you go, like, I could tell the difference, but most of my mates, when they were looking at them, were like, this is exact same way it was here last year. It's like, oh no, last year she was looking that way, this year she's looking that way. It's not. And I'm sure that gallery has a roster more than 4. So, like, show 4 that year, different 4 the next year, and then go back to the other 4 the third year again, and maybe do it like that. And again, I don't know how much that does bother me, but as I say, my friends who aren't so much in the art world definitely were convinced. Like, they kept saying it throughout the whole 2 hours we were there. They were like, every stand has got the same artwork from last year. And I was like, no, artwork does bloody sell. It's just... So that's a bit of a worry, I think, for the London Art Fair in that terms. I would love to know how much of a profit is made. And if it's a disgusting amount, then stop doing it. Bring the prices of the stands down and bring the price of the tickets down in the hope that it actually drives more people in. You never know.
Though, do you not think that...
And so then galleries could take more risks. I'd love some more installations of that art fair.
Yeah, but I mean, art fairs are not generally that interesting or exciting.
So just giant supermarkets of art.
Yeah, maybe it's not for us. Maybe we're not the target demographic. It's for the buyers, I think.
I'm not sure I agree with that. So, I was talking to my friend yesterday, and she travels all around the world for art fairs, and she loves the art fairs going on in America, LA, New York. She's off to New York in a couple of weeks for Volta and everything. She loves what's going on in Hong Kong and other, various cities around the world. It's just art fairs in London have just taken a dive. Like, I really liked Art 13, 14 and 15. That was a lot more interesting. There was big installations and areas. Everything was given room to breathe. It had more of a grandeur about it. That was an exciting fair, but again,
They don't do that anymore, do they?
no, it didn't pull in the money. Yeah, it didn't pull in the money, and they were pissing off galleries with their high charges of the stands and then lack of sales. But you know, the galleries aren't going to get pissed off and refuse to do it the following year if you don't charge so much. And yeah, maybe get more people through the door. I do think there is something to be said for getting in a younger crowd, even though they're probably definitely not going to buy. I think, you know, if you look at that big Miami Basil week where everything's going on around, is it November, late November? It's like the trendy thing to go. And I'm not saying art should be trendy, but like it gets all ages in. You know, it gets the older generation who appreciate art. It gets the sort of middle-aged generation who are perhaps you know, the new influx of buyers and collectors, and it also pulls in a young crowd, and then that kind of makes everyone want to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you can get that, like when we were around London Art Fair, it's very much a middle-aged crowd and to an older crowd. You know, you're not going around it thinking, this is cool. I'm thinking cool right now. Do you know what I mean? And as I say, not that art, you know, should be cool or, you know, it has to have that pressure on it. But I think there would be something said for just somehow pulling in a younger crowd.
Yeah, I don't think it should be cool, but it should certainly be exciting.
Yeah, exciting, right. Perhaps I'm wording it wrong, and it needs to be thrown about and debated what's the right term. Yeah, exciting, more creative perhaps. More edgy? Does it need to be edgy?
There's a gap in the market for a young, cutting-edge art fair then, isn't
it?
Something
definitely.
Totally different.
And what
And
else?
how do you do that without making some bank?
Well, exactly. And to put on an art fair, you need to hire a huge location, which costs a huge amount of money.
You need a big gazebo.
You need a giant gazebo, yeah. So you're already off to a loser, aren't you?
Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah. And what else was pointed out to me yesterday by my friend, which I hadn't clocked so much myself, is the artwork, and this is the same with my artwork, so I'm not cussing it at all. But the artwork at that art fair is all pretty artwork. You know, it's nice.
Yeah.
It looks nice. It's decorative style of artwork. There's not too much at that art fair that's really saying something or making a bold statement, whether it's politically or whatever, you know.
It's got to be saleable.
Yeah. There's nothing really like, you know, shocks you or chokes you. You're like, oh, yeah, gosh, wow, yeah, that's really opened my eyes. It's, I don't know, it's in a weird... So apart from that, I'm going to end up naming them all. We've only got London Art Fair, right? Other than there's Frieze. I've never actually been to Frieze. I'm not in this country.
Frieze is like
just
half amazing,
it.
half just...
Is it?
Like...
I would like to go.
Sales.
It's just been more of a financial thing. I mean, thank God we got Frieze, really. It kind of helps put us on the map a bit.
Yeah.
Affordable, you know, that works really well, that whole brand. But again...
I haven't been to 9 years.
Yeah, it's just...
Yeah.
It's not... What was the better word than cool? What did you say?
Exciting.
It's not exciting. It's not exciting, and the name is a bit off-putting.
It's the most IKEA of the art fairs.
Yes, yeah. But it's also easily the most successful, you know.
Well, because it's successful, isn't it?
It's affordable.
It's affordable.
It's all in the name.
So I mean, it sort of makes sense, but
and then apart from that, what else is there? There's a couple we won't name out, but they're not in a great place either right now. I guess the summer show, which isn't an art fair, right? It's a show, but you can purchase, can't you?
Yeah.
That's perhaps the most interesting.
Do you enter art competitions?
I do, yeah, a lot each year. No luck.
No.
But yeah.
Every now and then I'm like, all right, I'm going to enter this, and I do. Nothing happens, and then I'm like, right, I'm not entering again, and then
you do.
Well,
do you or not? Yes, but why not? Because it's like you got to be in it. You're definitely not going to be selected if you're not in it.
Yeah, true.
And you can't expect like, oh, this is the first time I've ever done it, and there's going to be 4,000 other entrants, and I'm going to be one of that 20 that get picked.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure.
And I also think there's something in those things of just although judging panels change a lot, but also the familiarity. you know,
Yeah.
like, I do actually think I remember this idea,
Yeah.
and that is an improvement area. And then by the 6th year, they're like, you know what, it is that
Just
person's
got to
time.
fucking let this guy in.
Yeah. And some of those entry things are expensive, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think the portrait one, the beefy portrait, I think it was 40 quid.
How do you feel about that? Like paying to enter for these competitions?
Sponsored by BP.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
so
a good
surely you
point.
shouldn't have to pay.
Yeah, they should be paying. Like,
Yeah, that is a good point. Oh, yeah. Well, and even less now. I think before, when I first started entering it, you actually had to take the artwork somewhere. So they had to rent a location, had to get people who, you know, check it in, check it out, file it away. Then people have to bring it out for the judges to view, put it away.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that goes into that. I guess now that it's all done online, though, the switchover was about 5 years ago, I think. Yeah, that is a good point.
So
there's
there's no
a big budget saved there.
Yeah.
They're not showing it back to us. Yeah, that one is the most painful. Most of them are about tenner. I don't mind £10.
I don't have such a problem with, say, like the smaller or like mid-level galleries doing an open call, charging a bit of money to enter, because that can often pay for like the more interesting stuff they do later down the line.
Yes.
Yourself.
Yeah.
But like BP,
Yeah.
don't charge an artist.
I don't know why I've never
Maybe
thought
sour
of
taste,
this.
isn't it?
because they can't afford to. I mean,
And the
what
portrait gallery alone's doing quite well. You know, they're not
what are
struggling.
BP sponsoring it for then? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, what are they putting on?
yeah.
They're providing the booze on the opening night, perhaps. Yeah.
So would you be tempted to start something yourself? Like, say there's no perfect gallery for you feel, or perfect fair. Would you consider starting something? Obviously, it's a lot of work.
Not a gallery. I feel in that sense there are opportunities for the artist where, I mean, I'm not sure the gallery thing's working overall. I think a lot of galleries are now closing down, but still working as an online gallery and doing pop-ups when needs be. So, and I think that's the same for artists. Like, there are some opportunities out there, you know, and in my case, Jealous made perfect sense for me. But if Jealous didn't make sense for me and Jealous wasn't there, you can get off your own back, go on one of those Appear Here sites. There's another one, I can't remember what it is.
Storefront.
No. And rent your own place.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it does cost money.
You considered that, didn't you?
I did consider, yeah, that was the plan at one point. And then, yeah, you just there jamming with your mates. I'm jamming with Louise and moaning about this, that, and the other. And then it's like, yeah, why don't you just use, you know, the people around you? And in two senses, there's a friend of mine who has a fashion house, Christina, is sponsoring the show. And it's the same thing, it's like a light bulb. Her and Louise in like I was like, you know, maybe I'm taking on a bit too much here. And why? I've got like great friends and people around me that can help really make this into bigger than what I can by myself. You know, again, I'm saying two different things here. I'm saying artists can do it all by themselves, the problem, but also there's a lot to be said for a good team, like you guys working together. You know, for the years that you have done before you even started up the whole Delphian brand.
Yeah.
You know, it's good to have a good team of people around you, and I have that. You know, also Charlotte and Nicholas. You know, it really helps, and it's definitely going to make you better. Because it is like so many things have to go right. So many molecules have to just bump into each other at the right time for it to go great. And there's a big chance that won't even happen. But again, perhaps like entering the competitions, you know, if you are all working at it, it could happen. But it's definitely takes a bunch of them to all connect at once. But no, so I wouldn't. So more tangents. I wouldn't want to open my own gallery because I think ultimately you could do a pop-up. It's not when I was told, it was Louise actually told me about Appear Here. When I realised there were these sites that listed all these shops, I was amazed. I was like, this is fucking brilliant, you know. The opportunities for people in fashion and music, wherever it might be, to just get a great location in Soho or Peckham or wherever it might be, and put on a night or a week's worth of stuff or whatever is a great opportunity. Yeah, there are there were bills with, if I wanted to do it myself, but I don't know, if you really want to do it, you'll pull your finger out and you'll make that money.
Do you think it's a bit exclusionary though, like the big upfront cost to rent somewhere yourself? Like having to fund it and in the knowledge that you might not make it back.
Yeah, you might not make it back.
But then if you do, you ain't got to split it with a gallery.
True.
Yeah,
true.
exactly. I kind of think if you've got the confidence to get to the point where you're like, I think I could rent out a shop and put on a show. You're probably going to sell at least one or two things. If you're at that, if you believe in yourself that much, others will believe in you. But also, as I said earlier, is it the end of the world? Like, you would have had such a buzz off putting on that show yourself, having that opening night, getting the feedback and the reactions. Even if it's not all positive, it'd be a massive, fantastic learning curve. And yeah, it may cost you $3-4 grand, but and you may have had to work in Sainsbury's for the last 6 months to get that money together, or do whatever, be a delivery driver or something. But I don't think you'd regret it.
No.
I don't think you'd be like, oh, fuck's sake, I just wasted $3 grand. I think you'd be like, yeah, no, I did it. I can pat myself on the back. Maybe you won't do it again, or maybe you think, yeah, we'll do it again. But maybe I'll do it slightly different, or I'll just do it exactly how I did, or whatever. But also you can look in other ways of doing it. So, maybe you'll get 4 artists together, but won't have a group show, but each artist puts on their show every 2 days. You know what I mean? Like, I get the first 2 days, you get the next 2 days, you get and you do it like that.
Yeah.
Never even thought of that.
No.
Yeah, there's you just got to get your head around it. There's different ways of doing it. Or you do it with, like, I know someone who's got a microbrewery. So you say, look, I'm going to put on this event. You put on a bar. You're connected to a cool thing. I've got to stop using cool, exciting thing. This exciting event with hopefully exciting work that you like as well, and it promotes your little microbrewery in the depths of South London.
So why did you
and
decide...
they could carry on running it as a bar during the week or whatever and make a bit of money. You can figure out little ways of doing it.
So why did you decide to start a podcast? Art-proof podcast, by the way.
Sorry? Art-proof, yes, art-proof. Yeah, I should be bigging that up.
Well, now's your chance.
With Nicholas Stavery and Eric Thorpe. It's been something on my mind for a couple of years, because I would go out with a bunch of people. Like, my first sort of entry into this sort of scene was through like a couple of characters like Ben Oakley and then another guy called Geffin, and I would join them on Thursday nights, like going around private views, and then you soon realise there's kind of a network of these kind of slightly older guys who do a lot of the private views and know a lot of their stuff, and have interesting opinions and views and stuff. And then more often than not, you'd end up going to a pub afterwards and really chewing the fat of the land about the shows you've just been to. What worked, what isn't work, what's coming up, what is exciting, what's, what could that artist do in the future perhaps to help themselves, what shouldn't they do because it's having a negative impact. Just these great conversations every week. And then a bit further down the line I met Charlotte and Nick and went round more with them, and they were both on the business side of art. And again, I'm with them breaking it down in even more detail, and they brought a lot more sort of aspects to the table that I hadn't thought about. And I just was, and other artists would, want to join us, like the Static Boys would like to come and join us and sit with us afterwards and discuss and debate things, and various other people. And I would be sitting there and I'd be like, other people would like to hear this shit. How many times have you heard students complain on fine art courses or illustration courses saying, we were never taught about the business side. We were never we literally just painted for 3 years, chucked out into the real world, and never got no fucking idea. Like me personally, I was in illustration, so I never had plans on painting or getting into galleries at that point. So when I first did, after uni, and they said 50%, I thought I was getting mugged off. I was like, 50%? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
For what? Doing all this work for, it doesn't work like that in, if you've got an agent in illustration, it'll take like 10 to, not even 30, 10, 20%. And, so it's like, and if it's an online one, even less, So I was really shocked. So even just things like that, I was just like, I truly believe people. I've never sat here and with people after the shows and someone's looked bored. People are passionate. Yeah. They're talking about stuff. They're debating. They're arguing. They're falling out. Like, it's great content, and I think people would enjoy listening to it. And I'd also think it'd just be great for young people, young students, or even non-students who want to get into the art world and things they perhaps should think about or be aware of. Or I feel like the art world for a while, maybe like your 70s, 80s, 90s, and even maybe now still, gallerists. So when I was told 50%, for example, I went round other galleries in London. I was like, right, well, I'm fucking... Because he was like, well, that's the standard, rare. And I was like, I couldn't say it wasn't, I didn't know. So I was like, all right, well, I'll find out that's a fucking standard, why not? I went into 4 galleries, and all of them refused to tell me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was like, well, no more the wiser.
Yeah.
And I feel like galleries have been like that. They've been a bit, we don't want to let our secrets out, and it's behind closed doors, and we don't want to let on that it's this and that, or we might have secret funding, or all these different aspects. And it's like, in this day and age now, with social media and everything else, doesn't matter. No one cares.
And I think
give them the information.
Yeah, I think the new generation of people coming up as well can see they're more intuitive, and they can see through the sort of that veil.
And they'll trust you and believe in you if you're up front with them and honest and help. It's not. It's not going to take away from you. Like, I don't stress if there's other people doing colourful portraits. Like, there's only so many I can do in a year. There's only so many they can do in a year. There's more, there's 9 million in London alone, people. Never mind the whole world. We've got access to the whole world now through social media. Like, big everyone up. I'm not paranoid about who else is doing colourful artwork. There's more than enough people out there. There's more of enough audience. Like, let everyone know how to get the best out of themselves and for themselves, for their creativity. Like I was saying, I really do believe artists are in a position to barter on that percentage these days. They're bringing a massive following to the table. And I learn things like that I take from other aspects. Like, I listen a lot how people are doing stuff in the music scene, how people like Skepta are doing stuff in the grime scene, how Kevin Hart does stuff moving from comedy into movies. So when I realised we should be doing that percentage thing with galleries is when I heard Kevin Hart in an interview say that he did a movie with Sony. I think at the time he had a huge, I think now 1 million is pretty standard, but he had 1 million on Instagram at the time of this interview, which was a big deal. And he brought out this movie with Sony, and Sony were like, oh, you haven't been promoting it on your Instagram, get promoting it on your Instagram. And he said, oh, cool, yeah, I'll ring up my lawyer and get him to write up a contract. Yeah. Because it's like, that's my time and money that I've been doing to build up that 1 million followers on Instagram. That doesn't just happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you want access to it, I'll invoice you. I'll charge you for that. I thought, like, the light bulb went on. It's like, fuck yeah. People like Henrik, who I think is on 600-something thousand...
It's a
people.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I think that's more than any gallery. So it's like, he could sell it himself. I mean, in some instances, I do wonder. Henrik's one I'd like to sit down and have those talks. I don't know how Frankie would be in a podcast about it, but maybe even just in a private chat. Why? Why are you even... as I said to you, Nick Verge on Instagram, who's got, I think he's around 200 and something thousand followers, said in the new year via Instagram that he was now going to sell completely through his website. Which, great. Good for
So
him.
social media does kind of democratise it.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, I think these
artists and
galleries need to
collectors that-
pull their finger out a bit. It's like, well, hold up, you know, some of these guys don't even need you. Like, 600 something thousand, he can go and put on a show probably anywhere. And because again, there's only so many paintings he can do to a worldwide audience.
Yeah.
You know, 12 paintings, he could probably put it on in, God knows where, you know, Turkey. And he's still going to sell those 12. You know, people all around the world, there are 12 people who don't care where that artwork is.
Yeah.
They fucking want that artwork.
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
How did we even get on? And that is it. This, and you know, and that's why I'm doing a podcast. Get another tangent. I kept thinking this in the pub, and then eventually I said to Charlotte, I said, "You should do a podcast." Like I really, and she's great, and she's always positive about things and encourages. So she's like, "Yeah, fucking do it." And this was like 2.5 years ago, and it just kind of. Yeah, I don't know, life again, life day. You know, I haven't even managed to get a bloody show out yet, never mind a podcast. You know, as in the solo show. So I was talking about it, but also keeping it just between me and her. I was a bit like, that I was being a bit guarded about. It's like, I think there's something in this, and no one seems to really be doing it. Quite in the format that I was thinking at the time. And then every now and again she would bring up, well, that podcast idea was a good idea. When are you going to pull your finger out about that? And I was like, yeah. And so then I sort of was like, okay, I think beginning of last year, I said to Nick, right, I've had this idea, very rare. Originally I thought it'd be me, you and Charlotte, but Charlotte's doing business all around the world. She's never in London long enough. So we need a third person. And we need to figure that out. So he brought a third person to the table, who was Eric. We all got on really well. Eric brought another aspect to the table. I like the fact that one's an artist, one's working in a gallery in a sort of sales capacity, and another one's doing art journalism. I like those kind of different angles and opinions. And then it was like, cool. And then, the ball got rolling. And especially, I have to say, actually more due to Eric and Nick with kind of getting it done and getting artists in, and I'm kind of there going, it should be like this, and trying to direct it, driving them both a bit mad, I think. But yeah, and I still believe it. And I was just noticing that also because I was in my younger days very much into like trainer culture, skateboard culture, hip hop culture, streetwear culture, and I was starting to notice all those kind of blogs and magazines were focusing or giving art a lot more light than they used to be. And I thought, it's definitely picking up. Like, I don't think it's going to be such a niche audience. Like, I feel like art is much more out there with young people, you know, the likes of Jay-Z, Pharrell and Kanye kind of really investing in George Kondo and Cause, and then Swiss Beats has brought a huge amount of light onto the art scene as well. And so when that happened again, it was like, I need to get on with this. Like, it's definitely getting loads more exposure. And eventually got there. And I just want it to be a chat with various artists, gallerists, collectors, all sorts, talking about the art world and their opinions and their debates, and hopefully people will be into that.
Cool. Well, that's a pretty good way to end this one, I think.
Cool, yeah, definitely.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming.
No, my pleasure. Thanks for your time, and thanks for letting me come over. It's good to talk.
All right. See you later.
See you later.